The Kansas City Chiefs just finished up day 16 of training camp in St. Joseph, Missouri, and the notes on this one are light from the Twittersphere, but we still have some things to go over, including a new running back for the Kansas City Chiefs as Janarius Robinson and Deon Bush both hit the IR, and we saw yesterday Nate Matlack was a defensive end signed by the Kansas City Chiefs, but they decided, it looks like, to swap out a safety slash cornerback slash defensive back in Deon Bush for a running back that goes by the name of Michael Wiley, wearing number 39, a number that always looks good. Chiefs have signed former Washington running back Michael Wiley. Haven't seen him down the hill yet, so not sure yet what number he's wearing. Nate Matlack also 57 by the way. I will be back later tonight with a video on Michael Wiley. I, guys, actually like what I see from Michael Wiley. He is a sort of early Kareem Hunt light. If you catch my drift with that. Very, very good balance. So this might be a practice squad battle. I'm just going to put it out there. I do think the Chiefs will carry 4 running backs and 1 on the practice squad. Right now, I do not have Carson Steele making the team, so it would be Carson Steele and Michael Wiley battling for that practice squad position. Just a little bit there, but we will be back later tonight with a video on that situation. From Pete, for Tuesday practice, it appears wide receiver Hollywood Brown, tight end Jake Brenningstool, offensive lineman Ethan Driscoll, safety Deon Bush, cornerback Jalen Watson, and defensive end Janarius Robinson won't go. Watson is back at practice today without a helmet. He will just watch today. The one surprise on here is Ethan Driscoll. To the best of my recollection, he was not on this list yesterday, but he got 0 reps in the preseason game, and that is a concerning thing there. So a little bit this offseason, I've talked a lot about shine and shop. Shine a player during the preseason and see if you can get a trade on him. I was wondering, because I didn't remember seeing Ethan Driscoll on the field. I went back and watched. I couldn't find him. He's a guy that's pretty hard to miss at 6'8", but you have to start to wonder if maybe they're in talks with someone, but I started to wonder if maybe they were in talks with someone to make that trade, but it looks like he is injured now. Was he injured on Saturday? I don't remember seeing anything about it, but very disappointing that he did not get to see any reps. Do think Ezapole looked really good out there, played a lot, and he, form-wise, not great. Form-wise, Ezapole was kind of a mess, kind of all over the place, kind of like he was playing shadow or something, but effectiveness, very good. Now, moving on to the notes from the practice itself. Solid rep from Jalen Royals against Christian Fulton. Fulton has been a full participant these past few days after coming off of the PUP list. And this rep is not a good look for Fulton. So Jalen Watson comes off the line, gives a little wiggle, and it looks like he gets tugged by Christian Fulton, and then he makes a cut in towards the center of the field, and Christian Fulton definitely pulls at his jersey. So this was not a good look for Christian Fulton. He is still probably getting his legs under him. It's good to see, however, that Jalen Watson or Jalen Royals. Did I misspell Jalen? Yeah, I misspelled Jalen. That's what got me. I misspelled Jalen. Jalen Royals was able to, has been able to really get separation against 1s and 2s and all of this sort of stuff. We're going to get a tweet in a couple minutes here that is not great for Christian or Jalen Royal. My names are all over the place today, guys. Jalen Royals, but you start with the separation, right? You can't make the catch if you can't get open. So looks like Jalen Royals is going to be at least a pretty good wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, he is somebody that I have with wide receiver 2, upper end wide receiver 2 potential. Look at this, though, by the way. That's Jason Brownlee there. That looks like a tight end. That looks like a defensive end. He is a large wide receiver. Number 89, too, by the way. Andre Rison, Spider-Man, if anyone remembers that. Nick Bolton with an so this is one that gets me. This is one that surprises me. Nick Bolton with an interception off a tip pass during 11-on-11. Nothing surprising there. Snagged it right off of the deflection at the line. Athletic play. Hit stick Nick has always been right place at the right time guy. If somehow he added athletic play guy to his repertoire this offseason, I will be very, very impressed. Nick Bolton with an interception always looks like a guy that just happened to find the ball in his hands. But Nick Bolton is not a super athlete, but Nick Bolton is always making the play. Nick Bolton, who, by the way, should have Super Bowl MVP appended to his name because, yes, Jalen Watson fumbled that second fumble. Yes, Nick Bolton housed it. Did he house it? I can't remember now. Everything is hazy in the wake of the victory, but Nick Bolton with an interception, always worth commenting on. I like Nick Bolton. Then we have Chiefs wide receiver Hollywood Brown, ankle, is sitting out of Tuesday's practice again, but was on the field tossing around the weight ball. I think we have to prepare ourselves to be without Hollywood Brown week 1. I just don't know for this guy. Also, I didn't know Hollywood Brown lifted weights, threw medicine balls. I didn't know he did any of that. He looks like just a fast guy. But how disappointing is this going to be when Patrick Mahomes finishes the season with 5,999 yards because for the first month of the season he didn't have wide receiver 1, and for the first 2 weeks of the season he didn't have wide receiver 4. So going to be interesting to see how the reps get split up. I believe in the absence of Hollywood Brown early in the season, we're going to see a lot of Tyquan Thornton because Tyquan Thornton is the guy on this roster best suited for the deep play stuff. He has looked very good this preseason with the 15-yard-ish down the field stuff as well. And when we saw Hollywood return in that one real regular season game that he played last year, that's where he was sort of opening it up, was that medium range stuff, the sort of 12 to 18 yards downfield stuff. And that is important for the offense because that area of the field opens everything else up as well. You get a little bit of safety's attention with a 15-yard in route, all of a sudden Xavier Worthy is behind him. So we will, I think, see more Tyquan Thornton. If Hollywood Brown misses time, maybe he won't. Now, Rashee Rice versus Nazeeh Johnson. You can see Rashee Rice making the reception here, and Nazeeh Johnson getting up off of the ground here. Very troubling, but at this point, as opposed to being, it would be nice, right, to be concerned about Nazeeh Johnson on this rep. But really, at this point in the game, it is more concerning if a wide receiver does not beat Nazeeh Johnson on a rep. So, Christian Fulton has never played a full season of football. Hollywood Brown, I believe, has only played one full season of football in his NFL career. So we are talking about back-to-back two guys who, maybe they'll see the field 14 times this year. Nazeeh Johnson suddenly finding himself on the field as the cornerback number 2 should Jalen Watson be out with concussion. I don't think it's going to happen. If this concussion keeps Jalen Watson out 4 weeks, that would be very surprising. But you can't count on Christian Fulton for a full 17 games. So it might be that the Kansas City Chiefs find themselves back in this position with Nazeeh Johnson on the field as cornerback number 2, which would be just mind-blowing, especially because I don't think that I think, well, maybe, I'm sorry I'm stuttering. I just can't figure out how it is that Nazeeh Johnson keeps finding himself on the field in this situation. I was going to say, I don't think he's the fourth best cornerback, but yeah, no, I mean, he is basically a fourth cornerback in the NFL. When you're a fourth cornerback, you have to have one tool, right? You have to be tall, you have to be rangy, or you have to be fast. Nazeeh Johnson is fast. Nazeeh Johnson ran, I think, a 4.38 40-yard dash. He had like a 41-inch vertical leap, something insane like that, 41, 42. And he's an athlete. He just can't keep his feet under him. Xavier Worthy versus Trent McDuffie. It was kind of a messy day as far as the play was concerned in St. Joe. At least that's how it seems. So in the background, you have Hollywood Brown with the medicine ball, and that appears to be the new running back there, warming up with him. But here is Nazeeh Johnson. He had beaten Trent McDuffie, and then he didn't catch the ball. This appears to have been earlier in practice by the time of the tweets than a play that I am going to show you in a moment. But again, this is Xavier Worthy with separation, downfield, dropping a pass. The hands have to be there, but we are seeing Worthy consistently convert speed to separation in a way that I don't remember happening last year at this time. So Xavier Worthy making strides in one department, but not necessarily keeping up with his hands. Then we have, for all my Gator fans out there, Elijah Badger getting some reps with the second team. This is a spinning back shoulder elevation catch. Elijah Badger has tools. Elijah Badger looked good in the amount of time that we were able to see him in that preseason game. Got blown up a little bit on one of the receptions, but that's because the blocking wasn't necessarily there. But he was on the reception where he looked good. He was able to really weave in and out of traffic, keep ahead of people, and I think he is a very talented wide receiver. He's a very talented body control guy. And hopefully we see that continue with the Kansas City Chiefs, because I do think he has a lot of the stuff that you need to make it in the NFL. The Chiefs are just in a wild place with wide receivers at this point. But another note worth talking about in light of this play is that it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the practice squad. I think they have shown that they like Elijah Badger. He's running with the twos here. He got a couple of targets in the preseason game. We've seen some other stuff like this from him in training camp. So I think they like Badger. I think Badger makes the practice squad. I think that Badger is... I think that it is exceedingly rare for a skill position player to start his career on the practice squad and end up really making an impact in the NFL. You see it a lot with linemen, because the offensive and defensive linemen, because the game is so different from the college to the NFL level. But the only the technique involved is extreme at the NFL level. At wide receiver and running back and cornerback, etc. Well, you do see it a little bit at corner, but most of these positions, yes, you have to be an extreme athlete to be able to play wide receiver at the NFL level. But it's so much more difficult from the physical attribute department than it is in college, that when you start compounding all of the coaching and technique and everything like that on top of everybody's bigger, everybody's stronger, everybody's faster, I think that it washes out a lot of the skill position guys. But I do think that Badger has what it takes. In fact, I think that Badger, if he spends this season on the practice squad, it's because the Chiefs are so deep. I think that last year Elijah Badger might have made this team. I think the year before Elijah Badger definitely would have made this team. I just don't think that this is the season for it. Magdalena has not gotten as much attention from what I can tell from the coaching staff, so maybe the only practice squad wide receiver is Elijah Badger. Then you start looking down, and Jake Brenningstool appears headed for the IR. I mean, has not really participated in practice. Maybe they keep Trey Watson at tight end on the practice squad. I do think that they like Trey Watson because they have held on to him through all of this, through being injured and having shown nothing really on the field as of yet. But maybe they keep him. I think they're going to stick with the 4 that they have. I think Trey Watson will likely be a free agent again next season. So probably this is one of those situations where you say, hey, look, go and do some diamond drills. We need you to work on that foot speed. And then next season, we'll have you in camp for a tryout. Maybe we'll re-sign you again. Ezapole will be kept. Ezapole looked good in the preseason game as far as what I could tell. Not a world beater, absolutely zero technique, but those things come. I think that is where you see somebody spend a year on the practice squad just focusing on that. Again, Ethan Driscoll did not play a single snap during the preseason game, and maybe there was a lingering injury. I don't remember it being reported. I don't remember him sitting out practice last week, so we will have to wait and see what happens there. And frankly, let's go up here real quick. Yeah, there's no designation. There's no designation on this injury or this absence. So I don't know. I have no idea why he was not out there. Then we have, so this is a big deal. Real leadership. Listen to 15 tell rookie Jalen Royals to finish it. Now, here's Jalen Royals. Here is the football. Got open downfield, got his hands on the football, did not make the catch, and then Patrick Mahomes absolutely lit into him. Yelling at him all the way down the field and turning around and walking away. It's easy to say not a good scene. Sometimes that's not a good scene. Sometimes that's a very good scene. It's saying, hey, I know you can do that. I know you can make that catch. We're going to have you make that catch at some point, and you have to come up with it. So there were problems with Jalen Royals yesterday and 2 drops, and now another day where he has at least 1 drop. I don't think this is anything necessarily to be concerned about. I think that this just is a guy getting late in camp, losing focus. Probably he's been told when you're getting off the ball, this is what you have to do with your feet. So he's focusing on that, still winning the rep, and then dropping the pass. I think that's all that's going on here with Jalen Royals. I don't think there's any reason to be too terribly concerned with him. Those were the notes for day 16 of training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs. The penultimate practice. On your screen now are 2 playlists worth maybe checking out and 1 video that YouTube says you will like. And hey, I, for one, welcome our new AI overlords. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.